Episode 512, Steve. A significant number.
It is.
A recognizable, funny internet number. 512.
Yeah, we're half of a gigabyte.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
All right. That was a good one, Steve. Hi, everyone. I'm Ryan.
And I'm Steven. This is 60 Cycle Hum, the guitar buying, selling, trading, modding, fixing, breaking, reviewing, playing podcast. And even if you leave in the comments that we should fire Steve, guess what? You can't, because I'm not an employee.
He's more of a partner, I suppose. Are we partners?
Ryan.
Or are we employees of each other?
Ryan, this first ad was sent by Steve Peterson. This says, this was a labor of love. One of my favorite mysteries, D.B. Cooper in the 1971 Thanksgiving skyjacking that has never been solved. This is a Maestro by Gibson Les Paul Jr. that plays and sounds great. Hand painted with Cooper's police sketch, reward poster info, 727 silhouette, and DB parachuting on the open book headstock. Cool black to white burst on the front and back. Originally had a humbucker by putting in an Alnico 5P90. That sounds awesome. This is one that I don't care if I sell or not, but I thought I'd put it up for sale and see if there's someone who wants it more than me. LOL.
LOL. Thought I'd just list a guitar for sale.
$2,000?
Yeah. I think this is someone just like, look at what I made. This is a place to document, my project, which I think is a fun and creative way to use reverb. Like, we should all just put stuff up for thousands of dollars more than it's worth just to show our stuff, right? Why not? I think we've seen a bunch of like tribute guitars over the years that like are tributes of various different pop culture things. Like there was that O.J. Simpson guitar years and years ago. Like there's been various different things over the years. As a kid who grew up on Unsolved Mysteries, like this hit me a little bit. Like I was like, oh, this is fun.
This seems very well executed.
It's very specific. I think they actually did. I'm not going to do a side-by-side here in person. Maybe I will in post. I'm not going to do a side-by-side, but I feel like that's a very accurate depiction of like the wanted poster art of the guy. And for those that don't know, DB Cooper is this guy who like, I think that's just an alias. That's not his real name. That's what he signed, like a note or whatever. He was on a plane. He did a skyjacking. He had, I assume he had guns, and someone else in the comments will tell the whole story because they're probably a fan or is their special interest or whatever. Mm-hmm. He skyjacked the plane. He took all this money and then he threw open the hatch and said, "Sayonara, suckers." And he jumped out and he parachuted into the woods and was never seen again. And every couple of years, some mystery show tries to go out and find money in a creek somewhere or something like that to try to figure out what happened to DB Cooper. And also every couple of years, some old man dies and his final words to his great grandson is like, "I was DB Cooper." And then he passes away and we're like, was it true? Is it him? And like, you never hear anything again. I don't know.
I did not know this. This is now the new funnest thing I've read, is that there is a device that was put on planes after the DB Cooper skyjacking, and also after other hijackings in 1972, called the Cooper vane. It is a small device that was put on the ventral staircase to prevent it from being opened from the inside.
Interesting.
So basically you could only it's just a thing that you had to it's just a latch, but it's an outside latch.
Right.
So you can't rob a plane and then jump out the back, because
also imagine
jump out the back.
I mean, I think this was maybe I'm wrong, but I've always assumed it was like a smaller prop plane.
No.
Was it
it was a commercial flight.
But was it a jet?
It says Boeing 727.
Really? I always thought it was like a little fun, prop plane. They still had two rows, but a 727, you say?
727. So for reference,
And he
Where is
he
the
didn't get torn
specification?
to bits jumping out of this thing.
He jumped out he just fell out of the back of the plane.
Huh.
Like, I mean, he didn't fall, but you know what I mean.
Sure. Oh, look, yeah, there's the plane right there on the guitar, and it's got jets on the side.
Yeah, this is a 106. Like, the smallest version is a 106 seater.
How high were they when he jumped?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, they don't.
You're on the Wikipedia, Steve.
Well, I don't. It doesn't say how high they were.
Steve, we're just going to read the Wikipedia for DB Cooper the rest of the show.
DB Cooper is a media epithet for an unidentified man who hijacked Northwest Orient Airlines Flight 305, a Boeing 727 aircraft in the United States airspace on November 24th, 1971. During the flight from Portland to Seattle, the hijacker told a flight attendant he was armed with a bomb, demanded $200,000, and requested 4 parachutes upon landing in Seattle. After releasing the passengers in Seattle, the hijacker instructed the crew to refuel and begin a flight to Mexico City with a refueling stop in Reno. About 30 minutes after taking off from Seattle, the hijacker opened the aircraft's aft door, deployed the staircase, and parachuted into the night over southwestern Washington. The hijacker has never been found or conclusively identified.
Well, there you go. Like, I get the sense that a lot of people, like, this guy is a bit of a folk hero.
Yeah.
Because he did it and got away with it, you know?
Yeah. And some people assume that, like, he died on the way on. Like,
right.
On the fall or
in the woods.
Or, you know, there's a lot of things, or, you know, that nobody knows.
Right. Like that, we're probably not far away from people making guitars themed after that guy that made that murder dozer that he took out a whole town with. You know who I'm talking about. Like,
but I think that's one of the things too about that. So, I don't.
these modern folk heroes.
Fun maybe isn't the right word, but especially
compelling.
Especially for us. I mean, DB Cooper's been a compelling figure for a very long time, but even like now, there's almost, I think, for people who look into him, being that we are post 9/11, this harkens back to a
bygone era,
a more civil time when plane hijackers they just wanted money. They would hijack the plane.
Right.
They would get the money and then they would parachute out.
Gentlemen hijackers.
Never to be heard from again.
Men in suits with cool glasses that skydived out of planes with sacks full of money. You know, a more romantic time.
I think during the forensic search of the aircraft, FBI agents found 4 major pieces. So that's of the plane. He had a clip-on tie. Amateur.
Come on. I mean, but if you're trying to change identities quickly like that, yeah.
The tie actually had DNA on it, but not enough that they could figure anything out.
It was just D and N.
Yeah.
It didn't have the A.
I think also this might have been during the time when it was, you know, obviously, again, this is like a pre 9/11 thing where it was just a lot easier to like fake credentials and get on a plane.
Yeah, it was like catching the bus.
Yeah.
I'd like a ticket to Mexico, please. Oh, right away, sir. Would you like steak or lobster on your flight? Like, that's what it was like in 1971, at a time when I wasn't alive.
Here's some more fun facts about it. They found lycopodium spores, which is a pharmaceutical potential source. They also found minute particles of unalloyed titanium on the tie, along with particles of bismuth, antimony, cerium, strontium sulfide, aluminum, and titanium antimony alloys, potentially suggesting he worked for Boeing or another aeronautical engineering firm, at a chemical manufacturing plant, or at a metal fabrication and production facility. The material with the most significance was the unalloyed.
So what you're saying is that
titanium.
This is a heavy metal guitar.
Well, DB Cooper at least was a heavy
Brought
metal
it back to
guy.
guitars.
But yeah, this is like a really fascinating thing. They did find some of the money like in the woods.
Yeah. Well, it's hard to carry that much stuff.
Like 10 years later, they found basically a bunch of disintegrated bills.
Well, he had to pour some out for the homies that couldn't be there, you know.
Some people think that like he may have dropped like the suitcase or something that it was in and lost some of it.
What I like to imagine is that he gracefully landed in the woods and everything went perfectly. And he put on like a different set of clothes, and he redid his look, and the plan is going off without a hitch, and then he just got mauled to death by a bear or a cougar or a giant boar or something like that, or Bigfoot himself picked him up and tore him in half, and then the money just flittered off into the woods.
I'd like to think that he went to his local East County bar, flashed that cash, and then he got mauled by a cougar.
Ah, yeah,
you know what I mean?
The different kind of yeah,
yeah.
Okay.
You ever go to Second Wind in Santee? You know exactly what I'm talking about. Now it's a geography podcast.
A lustful, mature lady.
I really like the parachute dude on the headstock.
Clearly, obviously, this thing's not worth what he's asking, $2,000.
This is like a $99 guitar.
Yeah, it's an Orville by Gibson, which is like
it's a Maestro by Gibson.
Oh, it's a Maestro by Gibson.
These
so
were
it's
sold in Walmart.
Yeah, it's a Costco budget guitar. Interestingly, has the book scroll on it. It's funny. Yeah, funny that Gibson did that on like the cheapest thing.
Yeah, they had those on the Maestro and Baldwin guitars. This is effectively a Les Paul Jr.
It needs an accessory. It needs a money printed strap, and then you're set.
Does Rocket Music Gear sell a money strap?
I bet if you ask them to, they would have one ready for you tomorrow.
So I only have one design complaint.
Oh, great.
Why isn't the airplane centered on the pickguard?
I don't know,
it should be centered with the fret
yeah,
markers.
It would be nice if it was centered with the fret markers, and it would be neat if the fret markers were little clouds.
Oh, that
it can't be perfect, Steve. It is what it is.
I know.
Yeah. I'm not totally in love with the stippling around the edges of the body. It works with the style.
Pseudo burst.
Yeah. But it works.
It's dumb, but it works.
It's dumb, but it works.
If it was there by itself without everything else, I'd be like, yeah, this is horrible. But
what band do you play this in? Like you're either in a very specific band, or like the rest of the band is just like, yeah, he's got a thing. He's just like really into this guy.
I mean, I think the answer is obvious.
What's the answer, Steve?
The answer is obvious.
Fun-loving criminals?
I mean, that works too.
Yeah.
You play this in a ska band, or you play this in like a surf, what is it called?
Pulp Fiction-y, I guess.
Like Spy Surf.
Spy Surf, yeah.
Like this is that Spy Surf vibe. That like
totally.
It's a mod crime.
Yeah, I do like the idea of D.B. Cooper being a rude boy in his suit and his tie and skanking off the plane.
I mean, if you're in the specials, you're already wearing suits, black and white suits.
He was a rude boy.
Yeah.
That's what the FBI found out. They found out this guy's a rude boy.
Very rude. He took that $200,000.
Was it only $200,000?
But that's 1971 $200,000.
So it was like $1 million.
It's $1 million. It's like $1 million.
Yeah,
1.2 million.
And it's still pretty good for getting away with it.
Yeah.
Like, there's probably a certain line where it's like, you take that much, you're probably not going to get away with it. $200,000 in 1971. He got away with it.
Yeah.
It was the right amount. He figured it out. He found the sweet spot, but then he could never really spend that money without being found, right? Like,
I don't think the bills, they knew what they were.
Maybe they were unmarked, maybe because he did it by surprise. So
you
I don't know.
You just got to be smart. You got to spread that out. Bill here or bill there.
That always sounds like such a pain in the ass to me. Like to do a crime and then have to be like so picky about how you spend the money because you could get caught. I just earn it.
It's just like a side gig. You're
going to spend all that time figuring out how to spend it without getting caught. Like, just earn it. Just earn the money.
I mean, where did he get these bills from? That's what I don't like. Did they?
I don't know. Let's not read it anymore. Let's keep going. We wanted to make this a shorter episode.
Yeah,
Steve.
Ryan, here's what I got to say about this.
Tell me.
I don't think you and I are planning on hijacking a plane and demanding $200,000 or the modern day equivalent of $1.2 million.
Definitely not, Steve.
Right now.
Definitely not on my calendar.
So instead, what we do is we rely on the good folks out there to support us through Patreon, patreon.com/60cyclehumcast, where for as little as $1 a month or as much as $200,000 a year, you can support the production of this program and other things, other YouTube videos on this channel. Just go check them out, and yeah, go check it out. We send swag packs at the $5 and above levels, and by we, I mean I send them.
Steve,
Ryan,
we typically pull in about $700 a month.
Yes, correct.
From Patreon.
That is correct.
How many months do you think it would take to earn that $200,000 that DB Cooper stole in 1971?
It would take.
Do it in your head.
It would take about 300 months.
285 months.
Yeah.
Pretty close.
I mean, I
Steve.
wasn't trying to nail it.
Pretty
I said
close.
About 300 months. Now,
you overspun the landing a little bit.
285 months is like 25 years.
23. 23.8.
Well, yeah.
I'll give that to you. You got really close.
I feel like 300 is pretty close to 285.
Steve, we're only about 14 years away from getting all that money, from earning all that money that DB Cooper stole in 1971.
Yeah, but we're earning it the honest way by begging for it.
Begging for it on a guitar podcast.
We appreciate everyone who supports the show. It's actually a really,
and we're splitting it, so it's half.
It's a really big. It's like
we're not even splitting it.
It's a minor
production budget.
It's a minor stress point every week when Ryan goes to make the video, but it's also one of my favorite parts of the week when you go to do the edit and you text me and say, hey, is the Patreon list up to date? And I'm like, oh, I need to go add people to the Patreon list.
I can't export the episode until he updates the list.
And that's like one of my favorite parts of the week because I get to like
see the new names.
Because that's how we make the new names for the thing every week. And we scroll that thing and everybody who supports us on Patreon gets their name.
And I've started to do like
episodes.
Patreon funded demos and stuff like that. I've been doing like as many as 2 scrolls in those videos.
Wow.
So you get your name on a screen in homes all around the world, in pockets all around the world. People sitting on the toilet watching guitar videos, they see your name. It's pretty incredible stuff, Patreon.
Ryan,
I'm not talking to everyone else. I'm just talking to the Patreons.
Ryan, I have to say.
Yes, Steve.
That Patreon pitch wasn't 100% honest. Because we also earn money through sponsorships like this one.
Well, we also earn money all sorts of ways, Steve. It's not the only way we earn money.
String Joy strings are manufactured in Nashville, Tennessee, and they're played on stages worldwide.
That's true.
These are the Orbiters. I've said this last week. I'm going to say it this week. Got them on my Les Paul, and I love them.
I got them on just about everything around here. Not the Orbiters, but String Joys. I got Orbiters on a lot of stuff. And I will say I like them a lot. They feel like teeth because they're coated with enamel.
If you want to check them out, click the link down in the description and then use code HUM at checkout to save 10%.
I'm going to keep doing
10%.
I'm going to keep doing the tooth bit until Stringjoy puts a little tooth logo on the Orbiters.
Oh my gosh.
And that says they feel like teeth.
I hope they never do that.
It's a nonsense thing that I say just because they say they're coated with enamel.
I hope they never do that. And that takes a lot for me to say because it's a dumb bit that I wish you wouldn't do. Ryan, this ad was sent by Dave Patrick O'Donnell. This is a Gibson Thunderbird 4 1964 reel. It's $7,000 in Coatesville. If you see this ad, it's still for sale. So if you ask, I will ignore you.
I picked this, Steve, just because I know that you lust after Thunderbird bases.
To see this clear, click on the big photo. Here we go. This is a 100% real 64 T-Bird, and it has no repairs. Very hard to find one with no repairs. Obviously, someone decided to cut down some corners. We guess they wanted a non-reverse. Parts-wise, I'm terrified. I have not looked at the pictures. Parts-wise, it's almost 100% original. Also, the only change is the mid-60s Gibson bridge. They used the original stud holes, so if you ever want to put the original back, you just screw it back in. We do not have it. It plays and sounds exactly like a T-Bird should. The original pickups sound perfect. The original factory shielding paint that is in all T-Birds and F-Birds still exists. Early 1964 pots, approximately 8 pounds. It comes with brand new Gibson hardshell case. You get, all you see here. There is a pickup. There is a pickup cavity. I'm going back through the pictures. Back of the headstock looks good. This is on Sweetwater.com used, apparently. maybe, I don't know. Front of the headstock looks okay.
The body shape has been modified a little bit.
What?
Yeah. It's not the craziest thing we've ever seen, but it is a little bit sad.
I guess they non-reverses, and maybe I'll say maybe because they don't really seem to know.
They just made it more Gumby-ish.
Yeah.
It's more of just it's turned into more of an ore, I suppose. Like,
this kind of fits into a conversation I had the other day.
Okay. I'm glad you get to continue that conversation now.
Is I would like to imagine that, yeah, this is a 64 Thunderbird base that's maybe somebody modified like in the 70s.
Right.
I saw the other day somebody had a listing. Actually, I think they emailed it in, so we might talk about it in a few weeks. But it's a Gibson Epiphone, or not Epiphone, a Gibson Les Paul, the Paul 2. So in the mid-late 90s, they came out with, remember the Paul from the 80s?
I remember the Paul.
They made the Paul 2.
Yeah, the sequel.
That was kind of like, it's basically a studio. And this person took out all the hardware, dropped in an EMG and like 2 pots and called it 2 controls and called it a day. And the commentary on it, which I understand, and I feel like this is going to be the commentary in the comment section of this video, is, who would do that to a Gibson? The Paul 2 was probably like a $600 or $700 Les Paul in its day.
Right.
I think now, excuse me, I'm scratching my face, but I don't know why I need to say that.
It's itchy.
I think that
he's got a real itchy face.
We're at a point where Gibson used is like worth so much of all eras.
Right.
Or they are seen, even like the cheapest, like Les Paul Studios, people think of them as like investment pieces.
Right.
That like the idea of taking, I bought this Les Paul or I bought whatever Gibson for like under $750, so I'm going to do whatever the hell I want, like, just hurts some people's feelings, hurts their brains.
Sure. Well,
to try
also,
to wrap around.
Things used to be different, and people used to do lots and lots of drugs. They still do lots and lots of drugs, but they did them in different ways in the 70s. Maybe, I don't know. Well, I don't know what I'm saying. So,
what are you saying?
People do whatever the hell they want to the guitars. Like I would feel nothing to get some, like modern affordable Gibson and do whatever modifications I wanted to.
Yeah.
Like I had that Les Paul that, like, I think I sold that thing for $800. It was a Gibson. I would have no problem definishing it. I would have no problem like putting an arm contour on it if I wanted to, or something like that. If I had some sort of crazy idea, I wouldn't feel like it was something special or rare or sacred that needed to be protected at all costs. And that's how this person felt about this bass when they did this stuff to it. It makes me a little bit sad because the shape that they ended up with is definitely less attractive than the original shape.
Did we talk about this before? Maybe you knew this. I did not know this, that the Firebird and the Thunderbird were designed by Ray Dietrich, who was a automobile designer.
I did not know that, but that sounds about right. I mean,
Yeah.
I've always admired the center raised portion of the Thunderbirds, Firebirds, etc.
So the Firebird was basically designed to look like a mid-50s tail fin.
Totally.
Which makes sense.
I wonder if there's a way to salvage this. Not to restore it necessarily, but to... Like, I bet that you could cut that lower horn to be a little bit more, to be more visually interesting.
Yeah, I think that's one of the problems with the current state of this is it just looks lumpy.
Yeah, it's kind of boring.
Yeah.
Like they took it down to raw wood, which I don't hate that. Like a pick guard would help it, getting some visual interest on there, some contrast. You could do the thing where you would have an upper and lower pick guard on this pretty easily. I honestly think cutting a more pronounced lower horn into it would do a lot for what we have here. maybe I'll do a quick little Photoshoppy thing. Editing Ryan's pissed right now.
I know.
You're making me do stuff now.
Well, if you want an idea, Ryan, I'm thinking like Washburn A style, maybe
Right.
go a little deeper with that bottom horn.
There is some room. And I know someone out there is screaming. They're like, no, don't touch it. It's 1960s wood.
It's
It's already mangled.
No, of course it's $7,000.
I know. Like someone has to pay $7,000
for the
in theory
for the opportunity to
try to save this a little bit.
Yeah.
The person owning it should do that. They should just be, I've got this thing.
Sure.
Let's go hog wild. Unless they really think they can get $7,000 for it. Like maybe there's someone out there who would pay $7,000 for this. I don't understand that person. Like if it was one of our friends, if one of our friends bought this for $7,000, I'd be like, you idiot. Why?
Yeah.
What the hell is wrong with you? But then I would look at it and be like, will you let me cut more wood off of it? Like walking towards it with a handsaw. Let me fix it. But I like the upper bout was modified, but I feel like that's all right. Like that part isn't messing with my eye.
Mm-hmm.
That lower horn is really where the trouble is. And I think there's various different ways to attack that could make it work.
This is $8,000 on Reverb. So it's actually listed a little higher. The only other Thunderbird I'm seeing on Reverb is 45,000. Like from that time period. Let's see if 65. 65 there's a 65 there's a reverse for 5,000. There's some other ones on here that for 10,000, so that 44,000 is probably asking for a bit much.
Do you think excuse me, I'm tired. Do you think there could be a value in this being a parts guitar, in that if there was another 60s Thunderbird bass that had a broken neck, say the truss rod is completely screwed, that maybe the neck got snapped in the middle or something like that, a very, very talented tech, luthier, woodworker, etc., could do a very ambitious neck replacement, a neck swap. So they could look at this and be like, I could buy the $7,000 mangled bass and I could transfer the neck over to this otherwise fine, like, what did you say, $45,000?
The thing is none of the other, so I think that price it's almost like an F off price.
Right. Like who knows who actually paid that.
Yeah. I'm not seeing anything else over 10 grand.
But in theory,
and at 10 grand, this is not worth it. Also, the thing that you're describing, I mean, maybe it's possible.
It would be like, it would result in a full refinish afterwards, but they would cut a block of wood out around the neck and glue it in to the other body.
You're thinking of doing it that way.
Right.
I was thinking of using like a heat treat.
Oh, to delaminate.
To separate the wings and transplant the neck and the center block.
I don't know.
I mean, either way, these are both extremely dumb ideas.
People do stuff like that, though. Like, there's very talented woodworkers out there.
I don't think you do this on a $7,000 part. I think if this was,
you do it on a $7,000 guitar to turn it into a $20,000 guitar.
If you had a mint Thunderbird where, say, the neck was warped, and it was warped beyond repair, because here's the other thing, right? Like, you think about this. If your neck has a twist in it, and
it doesn't matter if the neck is warped, because no one's actually ever going to play it.
Well,
it's going to go in a glass case.
say it's minty, but the neck
Sure.
is warped. I don't know why. Or say it dropped. No.
Let's say it's an insurance case. Let's say there was a terrible accident in transit in between, mansions with glass cases, and the neck got broken in the middle, and it's not.
And it can't be repaired.
It can't be repaired, or this style of repair would be more ideal. I fully think that a talented woodworker / luthier could cut that neck out of that body and reinstall it into a a non-mangled body,
But I'm telling you,
and do a very authentic refin on it to bring it back up to value.
I don't think you cut it out. I think you have to delaminate it. I think you have to delaminate the wings and transplant the center block.
Are the wings glued on? It's not a center.
The wings are glued on.
Maybe, but has the center block been mangled at all?
Look at.
Maybe not.
There's a line there and there's a line there. This is one piece.
You might be right, Steve. You might be right.
I think I'm right. That's my understanding of Thunderbirds. We had on a live stream a while ago, Bully jumped on and we talked about Thunderbirds a little, and he said Thunderbirds is the base that everybody thinks they want to own until they actually play one, and then they don't want to own it anymore. But yeah, that's, I mean,
right.
That's that. So I think you'd have to be buying this for like under $2,000.
Sure.
For it to be a transplant situation at all.
I don't know the value of these things. It's all speculative to me. I don't know.
Well, I'm saying like if the average price I'm seeing on Reverb is like $8,000 to $10,000.
Okay. All right.
In order for this to be, and this doesn't even have the original bridge. I don't know where they're getting this.
You
price.
can get that. You can find the original bridge.
I don't know where they're getting this price of $7,000 or $8,000 or whatever for
it's
this.
a feeler price. They're just putting it out there, see what kind of offers they get.
Ryan?
Yeah, Steve.
What's new?
I don't think anything's new. At this time of year, we're starting to think about NAMM coming up real quick. I'm feeling stressed.
Do we want to talk about NAMM?
When this episode airs, I'm feeling stressed, but we recorded it a week and a half ago. I don't really want to talk about NAMM. I'm just letting people know I'm going to be busy. So,
you're going to
push it.
You're going to be busy at NAMM?
I'm going to be busy before NAMM because there's a bunch of stuff that I need to film and edit and prep to launch to line up with NAMM. Like I'm going to be launching. Maybe is it this week or is it the last? There's 1 week where I'm launching 2 fuzz pedals, 2 days in a row.
I think I know what one of those is, but I don't think I know what the other one is.
There's just stuff coming up that is going to make me busy and I'm going to feel a little bit stressed, but it's fine.
Right.
It's fine. What do you got new, Steve?
I don't have anything new, Ryan, but what I do want to say is sometimes when you feel stressed, what you need to do is plug in a fine pedal from Chase Bliss.
This is not the mood, but playing around with the Chase Bliss pedal would put me in a better mood, especially when it's a fine pedal like the Dark World, one of my favorite spooky ambient reverbs. I like to keep this thing set on a very specific setting, Steve. Don't mess around with my little dip switches up there.
Whoops.
Did you?
I don't. If I did, it was like subconscious, so I don't know if I did. But
I don't know. No, I don't think you did. I think it's going to be fine.
What I want to say, Ryan, is
don't touch my dip switches, Steve.
If you're feeling stressed out, a Chase Bliss pedal could help you. I mean, why go to therapy when you can buy Chase Bliss? Head on over to chasebliss.com. Chase Bliss does not.
People.
What is it? Chase Bliss does not actually recommend that you don't go to therapy. In fact, we all should be going to therapy, especially Steve.
People are like, oh, Chase Bliss pedals so expensive. They're worth about 2 hours of therapy, and you need therapy. So you probably get a lot more hours of therapy out of a Dark World or a Mood or a Therme or a Habit than you would out of paying for 2 hours with a therapist who might talk to you about your dad. And you don't want to talk about your dad, do you?
I tried to bail on the therapy joke, and you just had to double down.
Hey, do you want to talk about your dad or do you want to make cool reverb sounds?
I do want to make cool reverb sounds.
See, Steve?
Ryan, can you tell me what the topic is this week, Ryan?
Is it that time already?
It's that
Jeez,
time.
We are flying by. I got a screen grab here. Let me find it. Where are you? Oh, the topic suggestion was from Nelson Oscar.
Hi, Nelson.
Nelson asks, what's the best way to promote your music in 2024? What do you think, Steve?
Well, I think the best way is to be a self-producing or songwriter, multi-instrumentalist from Oregon who seemed like a good time as any to send some music to 60cycleumcast
at gmail.com.
People have said that Zack Wassman has a Jack Johnson meets Bert backrack sound with an indie vibe and a beach twist. He's released 3 albums since 2019 and will be starting to record the 4th one soon. Here's the first song and title track from his debut album, Listen to Your Heart.
I'd cross the ocean blue just to come back with you. And if we traveled far, or if we grow apart, listen to your heart till it tells you you're in love. The wind will leave your sails and you'll be bound to push and shove. In love there's wrong and there's right but mostly wrong. You just can't win, but that's where love begins. And if I lost it all again, would you take me back then? 'Cause you've been my only friend. You're like my only friend who's not pretend. We look for good flip-flops, buy food that's way too hot, run past the cop shop, look for the next drop top to drive until it dies. Listen to your heart till it tells you you're in love. The wind will leave your sails and you'll be bound to push and shove. In love there's wrong and there's right but mostly wrong. You just can't win, but that's where love begins. Listen to your heart till it tells you you're in love. The wind will leave your sails and you'll be bound to push and shove. In love there's wrong, you can't be right but mostly wrong. You just can't win, but that's where love begins.
What a great way to promote your music in 2024, to send it to 60cyclehumcast@gmail.com as a attached MP3 or other file so that we don't have to download it from anywhere. But like, honestly, like as a real topic, we don't have to spend too much time on it. And sorry to everyone who thought that was the end of the episode, because we usually do that at the end. However you can get ears on your music. However, there's a million ways to do it now. There's no best way, because if there was a best way, then it would be saturated. And anywhere where it's saturated is not going to be the best way anymore. So get creative. Try a lot of different little ways.
I think it's really hard now. I think there's
It's always been hard, but it's especially hard now.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot more pressure on musicians to also be content creators and do the TikTok trends and all that kind of stuff to promote your band. I don't even know if that works. I still kind of feel like a lot of like the trad ways, the traditional ways of, just play shows and get out there and do it is kind of still the thing. But
being a musician,
what do I know? I haven't been in a band in 10 years.
It's always been hard. It has always been a difficult thing to do, to try to get your music out there, to try to get noticed, to try to get appreciated by the public, to try to get a growing audience. It's extremely difficult for a reason. It's because there's a lot of people who want to make music because it's an incredibly spiritually, intrinsically rewarding thing to do, to make music and to share it with people. People want to do it so desperately that there's a lot of competition. If you're good, you're good. That track was good.
Ryan,
people want to listen to good music. If you are making good music and you can find ways to get people to listen to it, then you just keep doing that.
Ryan, I think I'm going to paraphrase you or as close to directly quote you as I can, because I think you gave the answer a few weeks ago.
And you remembered it.
The best way to promote your music is nepotism.
Yes, absolutely.
Have a rich uncle or parent.
Yeah.
So that's probably the best way. So you should probably get on that.
Like your parents don't need to own a record company, but if they had the money to buy it when you need them to, then that helps a lot. Yeah. Like they don't need to own it right now, but if they could buy it for you, like that could help a lot.
Like say your parents don't have to own a record label, but maybe your cousin is the stockbroker that the CEO of the record label uses,
Right.
he can put in a word for you.
They may not be directly connected to music, but say they're connected to the entertainment industry in other ways. Like what if your mom is like a Hollywood producer or something like that? She can probably get your song into a show or a movie or something like that. So try that. If you're trying to get your music out to a wider audience, try nepotism. You know, just have rich or famous relatives. It's easy, guys. Come on.
That would have been a better joke if we had we could allude to a bunch of examples of things like.
Do you think either of us are, or as a channel, as a whole, 60 Cycle Hum, do you think that we have enough clout behind us that if our kids are successful in any ways, people are going to be like, nepotism?
No.
Neither do I.
I don't know.
I think our kids are going to have to work for it no matter what.
I mean, no.
unless like their career is directly related to like having access to way too many pedals.
Yeah, it's like if it was more like one of our kids at some point, like down the road, is like, I want to be a guitar YouTuber also, and then we just bring them into the business.
No, if one of our kids started building musical instruments, like pedals, guitars, amps, anything, you know they're getting free demos.
Yeah,
you know that's the nepotism that would actually like. That's the nepotism we can provide.
Yeah.
If our kids want to build pedals, we have nepotism.
And you're going to be promoting it.
Yeah.
And that is nepotism.
Yeah. And I will not be ashamed to do it. I'm like, look at my child's pedal that they have crafted with their own hands and their own imagination. It's a fuzz face. This is their first pedal. Lay off of them.
Yeah.
It's a good first pedal. It's a fuzz face clone, but their next pedal is going to be weirder and then weirder and then weirder.
Hopefully.
So
sorry, Nelson, we don't really know the answer, but if you'd like to send us one of your tracks, that would be awesome. We're actually pretty close. We only have, I think, 4 more songs in the bank. So we definitely, and 3 of them are from the same person. So
if this was a ska show, you could call it the Skank Bank.
All right. This last ad was sent by David Santander. About this listing, looking to move this, lots of watchers, don't hesitate. Own history, hard to describe. 69 to 71 SG player and sounds great, but probably a collector should lock it away as it is a 1969 to 1971. The paint job resembles what Eric Clapton was doing in that era. Look closely as the paint is crackled. Like the Mona Lisa, I'm told that happens with age. I'm not a guitar expert, just a player. Bought it 10 years ago and need to thin the herd. Hoping there is something even more valuable about this guitar for whomever buys it. Case seems original. Again, I know it's a 1969 to 71 based on the serial number and some messages from others on the site that gave me helpful info, but the rest of the story, I don't know. I recently plugged it in and tuned it and played it, polished it, and took these pictures. Message me with offers if you think the price is too high. Candidly, this should be in a museum. If you live close to Kalamazoo, but it's from me, and see if buy it for me and see if Gibson will buy it from you for their museum. Does Gibson have a museum in Kalamazoo?
I don't know.
Free shipping in the U.S., UPS ground. Outside of the U.S., I'll go for $250 U.S., and the rest of any would be at your cost. Lots of watchers. They are asking $2,850, a $22,150 price drop. It now says Gibson SG 1971, custom painted, not reissue, actually 1971, but also, again, a $22,000. This was originally listed for $25,000.
Right. I think someone talked some sense into them. I will say, though, I don't hate it. I like the colors being used. I think okay, so what we're looking at here is an SG.
I've never seen that type of trem.
I've never seen
vibrato.
A Gibson branded Bigsby style
that's
trim
what
like
I mean.
that.
Obviously, I've seen a Bigsby.
Right.
I've
But
never
it
seen
does
with one with the Gibson stamp.
It does have some unique lines to it that I really appreciate. I like looking at it. I forget this exact model SG that has the segmented pick guards with the Les Paul pick guard and then the Half Moon croissant pick guard. I know that's a thing. Didn't these have harmonica bridges on them?
Did you call it a croissant pickguard?
Yeah, it's kind of the shape of a croissant.
I would have expected to see a harmonica bridge on this, so that bridge on there might not be original.
I weirdly like this finishing, even though it's not excellent of the era airbrushing. Is trying to do that kind of like tricked out 1970s van airbrushing sort of thing. It's very iridescent. It's very pastel. The way the neck is wearing is very fun, very unusual. It's like this like dragon scales, the way that it's wearing away from the neck, with these little dots of splattery spray paint here and there. They layered all sorts of things on the front, like there's pinstriping, there's the splatter dots, there's geometric shapes, there's pink, there's blue, there's greens, there's yellows and purples. Like I like this color scheme a lot. The randomness of it also appeals to me. The aging of it, the cracking of it. Like I don't know. I think I really like it. Like it's ugly in ways, but ugly in ways that I find strangely beautiful. There's a little bit of pinstriping on that segmented control panel where the knobs are that I don't hate either. The back of it, the part that is actually trying to be a discernible image, there's like a mountainscape with a lake and the sun. Yeah. That's my least favorite part, and I'm still fine with it. It's also kind of upside down. I guess if you flip the guitar forward towards the audience, then it's not. But to the viewpoint of the person wearing it, that mountain is upside down. I don't know. I'm kind of a little bit in love with it. If I was a rich boy who could throw around $3,000 on a 1971 SG, this might be in my collection. But
I cannot tell from these pictures, but it looks like it might not have. Is there a volute on this? I can't tell because of the way the paint job is done.
Well, it's got a little.
Maybe it does. I'm just saying I can't tell.
It's slight, but it's not like the triangle volute that maybe you're looking for.
I'm looking for like the heavier, like that Gibson was using. Maybe a little deeper into the 70s. Here's the thing: is there are 4. This is an SG Deluxe, and there are 4 of them on Reverb that are cheaper.
Okay.
There are some that are more expensive, and there's actually a stereo version of this guitar.
Nice.
That's like apparently very rare, so people are trying to get $10,000 for them.
Do any of them have that specific Bigsby on them?
Yes.
Do they have harmonica bridges?
They do not.
Really?
So this is all original.
That's surprising.
But yeah, there's a 1971 SG Deluxe. They're all brown or cherry.
Look at it. This one's all pink and blue and green.
Because it's a refin.
It's all cracked like the Mona Lisa, Steve. More like the TOANA Lisa. This is the TOANA Lisa.
Wow. That's bad.
Ah, come on. It's not that bad.
TOANA Lisa.
You got to put that in the title now. Oh man, I don't know, the way the wear is on the neck and the like going through the cracking, giving that dragon scale appearance. It makes me think that this is a good player. That someone really enjoyed playing this thing.
It makes me think somebody refinished it and did a bad job.
Yeah, absolutely. But also, like, they lucked their way into beauty because, like, it's got some mojo to it that I really appreciate.
I guess
I'm picking it. That's my Adventure Club pick.
That's your Adventure Club pick?
Yeah.
Oh man,
we got DB Cooper. We got that Thunderbird bass.
Dude, my Adventure Club pick is DB freaking Cooper.
I like this guitar better than the DB Cooper one.
All
you know what? We're not gonna do things the way we've been doing.
How are we gonna
them.
do it? You don't want to flip a pick?
I almost said thumb war, but I know you'll beat me.
I don't know. My hand's a little.
We're gonna flick a different pick.
We're gonna flip a different.
We're gonna flick this. We're breaking the tradition because the Spin Doctors pick, it favors Steve every single time, and I'm sick of it. I'm so over it, Steve. Do we have anything else that we could flick?
That's not a pick.
That's not a pick.
We did it with a coin before, and I think I won all of those too.
Oh my gosh, Steve, why are you so lucky?
I don't know.
All right, I think this.
We should just, if we had like a HX Stomp, we could plug in a couple guitars into the console, and we could just have a riff off, and that would guarantee that you would win.
Okay. The printed side means that I win.
Okay.
What the hell? How is this possible every single time? DB Cooper got it.
DB Cooper got it. Congratulations. What's the name on that?
Steve Peterson.
Congratulations, Steve Peterson.
You only picked it because it's a Steve.
No, I picked it because we talked about DB Cooper for so long.
This is Steve nepotism.
And we learned about planes.
You're just like it because you got to read Wikipedia.
We read Wikipedia.
We were finally approaching real podcast status because we read Wikipedia for like 20 minutes straight.
We talked about geography. We talked about ska.
Like we got very close to being a true crime podcast. Congratulations, Steve. I'm gonna buy like some loaded dice or like a double-sided coin or something. I gotta find some way to win someday.
You should just get 2 different colored die, like a red one. Like, what was the board game that came with like 1 red die and 1 white die?
There's probably a bunch.
Yeah, there probably are a bunch, but there was like a few popular ones that had that. And so we each get one. We both roll them at the same time, and like whoever gets the higher number.
Okay, all right.
Or we can just roll like. You could do it with just 1 die. You know what? I
miss like the old like Sorry Popper thing. You know, like
Trouble.
Didn't Sorry have it too?
No, Sorry was a card game.
That's right.
I've also got like D&D. Like I've got they're not D&D dice because there's not any D20s, but I got some D10s. I can bring some D10s.
I'm gonna put our address up here.
Okay.
You guys send us objects with which to decide whether it be some sort of dice. A special coin.
Wheel of pedals.
You think we should use a spinner wheel?
You could just relabel it Ryan, Steve, all the way around.
But I think let's give people the option to send us, like their special objects that we can flip. All right. I'll put the address up there. Editing Ryan. Hey, wake up. Address right here. Put it right here. Okay. Hopefully he heard.
It's in the description.
That doesn't mean anything to me. You think editing Ryan cares about the description?
I'm saying to those people, it's in the description.
It is always in the description.
Yeah,
if you want our address, it's
episode.
a UPS address. It's a UPS box. You can send us whatever you want as long as it's legal and safe. Please don't try to harm us in any way.
Yeah.
I'm being serious right now. Please don't try to harm us in any way. I feel like I shouldn't have to say that so directly, but send us cool things if you want to or don't want to. We both wear XL shirts.
I wear a 2XL.
Okay. Steve's a big boy now.
Big boy.
Right. Big boy. Big britches. Mr. Steve over here.
Large.
Okay. You can just do 2XLs and we'll wear whatever shirts you send.
All right.
Yeah. I could fit in a double XL. Why not? All right. So get us out of here, Steve.
Stay grounded.
Bye, everybody.